With just a 13% chance of making the playoffs and coming off a 100-loss season, most people felt the 2024 Kansas City Royals were going to be awful. But surprisingly, they're not.
And Velasquez drives it into deep left center field. It is off the wall.
Michael Garcia gives the Royals a little more breathing room, and it's now 7-4 Royals.
Following a win against the Rays on May 25th, not only had the Royals' playoff odds more than quintupled since opening day, their record through 53 games tied for their best in team history. Led by a core featuring an emerging superstar at shortstop, a resurging team legend behind the plate, and a starting pitcher once referred by a scout as the left-handed Jacob deGrom, the 2024 Royals have established themselves in the American League playoff race. However, their shoddy performances over the past month raises questions on the legitimacy of this team's unexpected resurgence. Although, if anything, their turbulent season is simply a microcosm of what this team has undergone in their road back to prominence. A road that's been anything but straightforward.
Westberg with a wild walk-off. Orioles win it 6-4.
Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. Summer is officially here, which not only means we've got a summer of baseball ahead of us, it also means the NFL season is right around the corner. And I've got a special hookup for you guys. If you use my code STORM10, you get 10% off any tickets on SeatGeek, whether you're a new customer or returning customer. From sports to concerts to festivals, you name it. In fact, I recently used SeatGeek to watch the Padres and Angels up in Anaheim. It was rough to see the Padres get swept, but knowing I got a good deal made it much easier to stomach. SeatGeek uses a simple rating system, a 1 to 10 scale where green means good and red means bad, so make sure to look for the green dots. Also, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. No matter how many times you've bought tickets using SeatGeek before, code STORM10 is going to get you 10% off your next order. So click the link in the description, open the SeatGeek app, and go add code STORM10 to your account. What are you waiting for? Do it now, because this offer is only available for a limited time.
The young swings and hits it deep. It's long gone to left field. Way out of here.
The year is 2018, and what was supposed to be a year of celebration to commemorate the Royals' 50th season turned into a summer of misery. In fact, during a weekend series against the Cardinals in mid-August, the Royals honored their 2 championship seasons with fan giveaways, including a 2015 jersey in the final game. The Royals lost this game and were ultimately swept, dropping their record to 35-82. Their worst record through 117 games in franchise history. A swift fall from grace from where they were just 3 years prior. After falling just 1 win short of glory in 2014, the 2015 Royals championship season was the culmination of a multi-decade-long underdog story. In fact, even following a pennant-winning 2014 season, the Royals weren't expected to repeat this type of success, much less win it all. Since Fangraphs began calculating playoff odds in 2014, the 2015 Royals were the least likely championship-winning team to qualify for their respective postseason. Built off the riches of an elite farm system, the 2015 Royals held a unique identity. While the rest of the league began the shift away from those pesky singles and stolen bases in favor of more walks and home runs, the Royals embraced an old-school brand of baseball. High contact and speed on the base paths. But what set them apart the most was their exceptional bullpen, led by the 3-headed monster of Wade Davis, Kelvin Herrera, and Greg Holland. Instead of shelling out a 9-figure contract for a top-of-the-rotation starter, the small-market Royals exploited a market inefficiency by focusing on the subset of elite pitchers they could actually afford. Relief pitchers. By assembling a deep, dynamic bullpen with arguably the league's best defense behind them, the Royals created a pitching staff with an elite capability to get out at a much lower cost. As former president of baseball operations Dayton Moore put it, if we're not going to have a rotation of 1s and 2s, we're going to have to make sure we play defense. And if we can put a defense behind those guys, perhaps they can give us 200 innings. If we put our money into the bullpen, that's where we've got a chance to dominate. Well, to say they dominated is an understatement. However, the time at the top doesn't last forever, and in the Royals' case, the descent back to the bottom was incredibly steep. Over the next couple years, they lost many key players, including longtime Royals Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer, and Wade Davis, as well as midseason acquisitions Johnny Cueto and Ben Zobrist. Then came 2018. To put it simply, if 2016 and 2017 was a plunge into mediocrity, 2018 was a swan dive into an abyss. At 58 and 104, this tied the 2004 team for the second worst record in team history. Even worse, after that 2004 season, it took another decade to produce a record over 500. Although, as they were now building off the philosophy set by a championship-winning culture, Dayton Moore thought the time span of this rebuild would be much shorter, especially if they strike gold with the number 2 overall pick in the 2019 draft. Well, to put it simply, the Royals absolutely nailed this selection. In MLB history, only 5 players have hit at least 30 home runs and stolen at least 49 bases in a season. I know this is a very specific number, but stick with me. Among this group, only 2 of them did it within their first 2 seasons, Bobby Witt Jr. and Mike Trout. Sure, the difference in production outside of these 2 stats is quite drastic, but Witt's overall production was enough to dream on his potential. In fact, not only was he once regarded as arguably the best shortstop draft prospect since Alex Rodriguez, Witt joined A-Rod, Nomar Garciaparra, and Francisco Lindor as the only shortstops to produce a 30 home run 4-WAR season by the age of 23. As a result, the Royals made the decision to entrust Witt as the franchise cornerstone by agreeing to an 11-year extension that guarantees $288 million, assuming he doesn't use one of his 4 opt-outs after year 7. Not only is this the 16th largest contract in MLB history, it sits behind Fernando Tatis Jr. as the 2nd largest pre-arbitration extension in MLB history. And so far, Witt has been worth every penny.
That is beyond the green and into the water, the second deck. 5-0 Royals in the second inning.
80 games into the 2024 season, in terms of WAR, or wins above replacement, Witt has nearly matched his production from his entire 2023 season. Assuming he maintains this production, he could end the year with both 7 B-WAR and around a 150 OPS plus, which means his OPS is 50% better than league average. Since the Royals came into existence in 1969, this duo of stats has been accomplished by only 8 shortstops, and the only player to accomplish this within their first 3 seasons was who else but Alex Rodriguez. Witt's contract extension not only signals to the fan base and upcoming free agents that the Royals intend to compete, it joins a rising trend of pre-arbitration extensions, from Ronald Acuna Jr. to Fernando Tatis Jr. to Julio Rodriguez to Luis Robert. However, when all of these extensions were signed, each player's respective team had either a playoff caliber roster or an elite farm system. The 2023 Royals had neither. In fact, according to MLB Pipeline's 2023 midseason rankings, the Royals farm system ranked 29th out of 30 teams. You know, not exactly a great position for a 100-loss team to be in, especially when just 2 years prior, the Royals had a top 5 farm system. So what happened?
And a line drive to right. Here comes Arteaga, and Ned Yost's final victory is a bottom of the ninth inning, run onto the field celebration.
With this walk-off to end the 2019 season, this Royals team was exactly one win better than their 2018 team. But what mattered most was getting another top 5 pick, which they used to draft left-hander Asa Lacy. Although, due to injuries, Lacy is the only top 7 pick from this draft to not make their big league debut. Just one example of the numerous setbacks this farm system has faced in recent years. Back in 2018, the Royals attempted to launch their rebuild by using their 4 first-round picks to draft college pitchers. These 4 pitchers, along with 13th round pick Jonathan Heasley, became the first set of 5 pitchers from the same draft class to start a big league game in the same season for the team that drafted them. However, of these 5 pitchers, the only one who's transformed into a consistent big league starter is Brady Singer. The harsh reality is most prospects aren't going to make the big leagues, much less thrive, and this is especially true for pitchers. In fact, the founder of Baseball Prospectus, Gary Huckabee, coined the term tin stop. There is no such thing as a pitching prospect. It's a term not to be taken literally. Rather, it exemplifies that pitching prospects are more susceptible to risk and volatility compared to their hitting counterparts. Also, in a September 2022 article by Rustin Dodd, Andy McCullough, and Alec Lewis of The Athletic, personnel from around the league criticized the Royals' pitching development system. One scout said the Royals were further behind than most organizations in terms of their implementation of technology and truly understanding data, what it means, and how to implement it into player-specific development plans. A former Royals minor leaguer said that once he joined another organization, his new team provided spin rate, movement, velocity, and other data on the video of his bullpen session. The Royals have the same technology, but pitchers had to go out of their way to find that data, assuming they already knew how to apply that data to their pitching. Coincidentally, a week after this article was published, President of Baseball Operations Dayton Moore was fired, and General Manager J.J. Piccolo was given the reins to the franchise. Since Piccolo's takeover, the pitching development side has been completely revamped. No longer are the Royals using a blanket pitch usage philosophy. Player reports are now individualized according to their profile. And while every pitcher isn't going to use specific pieces of data, communication and understanding the learning style of every type of player is a key driver to success. Overall, if there's one thing Piccolo has proven thus far, it's that he's not Dayton Moore. And this fact alone is key in propelling the Royals into not only the modern era of baseball, but towards a new era of success. Still, as great as all of these changes are, Piccolo has only led the team for about a year and a half. That's not really enough time to see the full effects of these changes. Yet, the 2024 Royals currently have a 1.10 ERA+, meaning their team ERA is 10% above league average, which puts them around top 10 league-wide. So, how has this team's pitching staff improved so drastically following a dreadful 2023?
2-2. Scott him. Huge strikeout for Reagan.
I tell you, to leave that runner stranded right there with a good hitter, look at the passion there.
This is Cole Ragans, otherwise known as the left-handed Jacob deGrom. At least that's what one scout said back in spring training. Now, as we all know, scouts have never used hyperbole to describe a player's potential, but in Reagan's case, he's been phenomenal in his first full season as a starter. Acquired in mid-2023, Ragans has transformed into not only an elite strikeout pitcher, but one of the best pitchers in the league, period. Best of all, he isn't a free agent until after the 2028 season. Speaking of free agency, last offseason, the Royals were one of only 8 teams to commit at least $100 million to free agents. The 2 largest contracts the team handed out were to starting pitchers Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha, who were each coming off great seasons, but the league didn't really know how to value them considering their age and injury history. So the Royals decided to take a gamble on them, and it's paid off. However, this pitching staff is far from perfect. In particular, the bullpen is in need of some upgrades. Now, sure, the signing of Will Smith pretty much guarantees the Royals are going to the World Series, but without a bullpen that performs in high-pressure situations, the likelihood for success isn't very high. Although, offensively, the outcomes of these high-leverage situations have been a different story.
Fastball drilled, deep to right field. Haniger turns, watches it fly. From down 8-0 to now down 8-4. If you think this game is over, you ought to rethink.
Off the end of the bat, that ball is going to be down.
This is a two-run game. The Royals trail 9-7.
So runner at second, one out, 9-8 Seattle.
On the ground, fair! The game is tied. Bobby Witt Jr. in there with a game-time triple. And Salvi is screaming at Nelson Velasquez. Get the job done. Line out at second. No play. Unbelievable.
On June 7th, the Royals put together one of the most improbable walk-offs in recent memory. As pointed out by MLB.com's Sarah Langs, in the last 50 seasons, on only 5 occasions has a team won a game after allowing 7+ runs in the first, while also scoring no runs in the same inning. The 2024 Royals offense as a whole currently hovers around league average, but if there's one aspect of the game they've exceeded in, it's performing when runners are in scoring position and during high-leverage situations. However, I have to wonder just how long they can maintain this level of production. After all, outside of Bobby Witt Jr., a resurging Salvador Perez, and a returning Vinny Pasquantino, the Royals' offense is quite inconsistent. So, what happens if this team begins to squander opportunities at a higher rate? Well, as of late, the Royals have been dealing with this dilemma.
High fly ball to left field, in front of the wall to make the catch! That would have tied the game. Instead, it's the last out.
Since the Royals beat the Rays on May 25th, this team has slowly fallen down the standings, as only the White Sox and A's have lost more games than the Royals, cutting their playoff odds by more than half. During this time frame, their production when runners are in scoring position has dropped significantly. At the same time, their overall offense has declined too. However, the most worrying aspect of their recent skid is their total 180 in pitching production following May 25th. Which leaves the Royals at a crossroads. They remain in the running for a wildcard spot, but with so many glaring holes and a depleted farm system, the question isn't just how much could this team actually improve at the trade deadline, but whether they should go for it at all. Let's say the Royals continue their poor run of form and find themselves outside of a wildcard spot near the trade deadline. Sure, JJ Picollo has stated his desire to remain committed to the postseason vision sold to his team, but this brings the possibility of diverting too far from their long-term goals. Think of it like this: Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha were the team's largest acquisitions from last offseason. However, their contracts are structured as short-term stopgaps to give the team's next wave of young talent more time to develop at the minor league level. Plus, both of these contracts contain opt-outs. Most notably, Wacha can opt out after this season. Personally, I don't see the Royals trading Lugo, but if they find themselves outside of the playoff race near the trade deadline, it's absolutely worth exploring a Wacha trade. The combination of this trade return, as well as drafting a college player who can contribute within the next couple seasons at number 6 overall, drastically improves the long-term outlook of this team. Overall, the Royals are in a very precarious situation. They came into the season with ambitions of disrupting the division and potentially making a run at the playoffs. Unfortunately, in recent weeks, this lofty goal has become more difficult to reach. At the same time, I don't think anyone expected this team to potentially be around 500 at the All-Star break. While this organization isn't set up quite yet for a push at a deep postseason run, between the improvements in player development, new organizational philosophies, the acquisition of a potential ace, and the signing of a superstar through the prime of his career, the Royals are on track to not only open a playoff window in the near future, but potentially one day relive the highs of 1985 and 2015. And perhaps this time around, their time at the top will last much longer. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks for watching.